Alan Kimball during the New Teacher Award, we would have leaned together as we did for years and said, you know, we never won that New Teacher. And that's because it wasn't created until we were no longer qualified. And so I said to him, we're just going to have to wait till we get really old and they'll give us a plaque. One of the easiest things the ICTA has ever asked me to do, and they've asked me to do a lot, like 22 flower arrangements for the day, was to write a letter of support for Marvin Kleinau for the Mentoring Award that honors Connie. It was easy because when I think of my greatest mentors, Marvin is clearly one. So when Tina asked me to write it, I said, sure, but I had a dilemma in that if you went to SIU Carbondale, you said Marvin and then you immediately said Marion. And I could not imagine endorsing Marvin without Marion receiving the award too. So happily, that is the case this evening. And in trying to talk about Marion, I have to talk a little bit about Marvin too. My first, Doug, don't worry. My first encounter with the Kleinau's was in 1977. I was a student in Mary Lou McCullough's Introduction to Speech Communication class, where we were introduced to the professors we would have as majors in speech communication. And Marvin was a guest speaker in one class. And he was a little intimidating, which I find interesting that people say to me, you're intimidating, and I want to say I learned it from Marvin Kleinau. It's intimidation, but with love. And he also was so dynamic and so enthused about our discipline that the response of the class to his speaking was just overwhelming. And so when Dr. McCullough told us that next class period his wife would be speaking to us, we had all kinds of questions about what she was like and that kind of thing. My question was, what kind of woman would marry Marion? But then I met Marion and found out that she was certainly able to hold her own against Marvin. Maybe the only one. She is one exceptionally kind and perceptive and talented and inspiring teacher. I had two courses from each of the Kleinau's during my time there. With Marvin, I had argumentation and debate, where I watched a lot and didn't say much. And I also had directing forensics, and Alan was in that class, and we learned a lot. And with Marion, I had oral interpretation of literature and directing group performance. And later, I worked publicity and in the box office for Marion. It was called the Caliper Stage, and I didn't know what a caliper was for a couple of years before I looked it up. And I still didn't know why it was called a caliper, but now it's called the Marion Kleinau Interpreters Theater, and it's a beautiful facility. And I saw it 3 summers ago, I think, was the first time when several of us that were in college together at the same time sort of did a Big Chill weekend back in Carbondale. Big Chill's a movie for all of you. It was a really good movie. They all get together and talk about all the mistakes they made in the year. But anyway, we went back to Carbondale, and the first on our agenda was to have dinner with the Kleinau's, and that was truly wonderful, and it was a great weekend. So, I'm losing my place, and that's why I don't write speeches, I just talk. Oh, okay, right. So almost 40 years later, I can still remember moments that I had in the Kleinau's classes and how they helped to change my focus from wanting to be the drama teacher at the high school to being someone who taught oral interpretation and debate and public speaking. But I'm only one of hundreds of people to have fallen under their influence. In fact, so much so that my friends and I, when we visited, as I said, they were first on our agenda of things to do, and we actually went back this summer and saw them again. The reason we took like 35 years the first time, we were all so old it was sad, but we were there. And I said, we can't wait much longer, we're all too old. So when I asked people what I should talk about, and then I thought, well, just go to my friends who all had Marion is the teacher and ask them. So I chose people from the organization to give me some reflections on Marion. And this came from Frank Taraggio. Any student who was lucky enough to have Marion Kleinau as a mentor can tell you that there is no one who does more, feels more, or cares more than she does. She shines light on every possible path, so when it comes time to make those choices, you go forward with confidence. To me, she has always been an insightful guide, a joyful presence, and a damn classy broad. And for my friend Alan Kimball, watching Marion direct a production is like watching a gifted dancer gracefully filling the darkness of the stage with images created through the bodies of the actors lucky enough to work with her. So many times as I work on a show, I remember watching her dance through the rehearsal process, and I wish that I had that grace that she has shared with all of her students and learned the beauty of the creative process from the best person. And finally, from Karen Mitchell, for 42 years I've been blessed to call Marion Kleinau my mentor. Her fearless stance on the social justice and human rights, her dry sense of humor, her passion for literature, and her dedication to performance as a way to study human communication blazed a clear path for me to follow throughout my career. Rarely do I enter a classroom or a rehearsal space or a meeting room without feeling her spirit of love and wisdom guiding me. Great teachers and artists can change the world, and Marion Kleinau changed mine. So yes, we enjoyed another weekend in Carbondale. It was wonderful, and we wined and dined with the Kleinaus. And I don't think I could really say it any better than my friends have that I quoted, but I will say this. When I met the Kleinaus, I was 18 years old, and I was from Southern Illinois, and I had never seen anyone perform oral interpretation. I did not know what that was. So I thought that literature to be performed had to be costumed and lighted and makeup and all those things Alan and I loved. Well, I'm going to get a little messed up. But then I saw Miss Kleinau open a book and open a whole world for me that I didn't know existed. So sorry, Marion. Just because it didn't take all of those things to make people feel what she could make people feel. And probably that's why I'm crying now, because she made me cry then. All right, let's get it together. As Karen said, Dr. Marion Kleinau has changed the lives of so many people, and that is why she is so deserving of this award. Marion.